Welcome to Wine Soundtrack International. Listen to the passion with which producers narrate their winery and their world. In 30 answers, discover their stories, personalities, and passions.
Hello, friends and listeners of Wine Soundtrack. This is Christine Campbell, and today I am in North Vancouver, sitting with Keira Franc of Stag's Hollow Winery. Welcome, Keira. Can you tell me a little bit about Stag's Hollow?
Stag's Hollow Winery is a winery in Okanagan Falls, British Columbia. We're kind of at the south end of the Okanagan Valley. We are our own little sub-GI and a special little spot that is becoming more and more recognized, especially for its Chardonnays and Pinot Noir, of which we do quite a bit. Stag's Hollow was started in 1995 by Larry and Linda. So we just had our 25th anniversary in 2020, and we're kind of going onwards and upwards from there.
That's perfect. How many acres of land do you have?
On the estate, we have about eight acres planted, and then we have another 8 or probably 10 planted at our Shuttleworth Creek property, which is just down the road, with more to come on stream. We've just planted about 2 more acres of Pinot Noir, so that'll be kind of coming on stream next year.
Wonderful. And how many cases of wine or cases a year do you produce?
Right now, we're doing about 6,500. Last year was a little bit of a smaller vintage. We're aiming this year to do about 8,000, 8,500, and then kind of aiming to grow a little bit, but not go anywhere past 10,000 cases.
That's a good number. So what type of wines is Stag's Hollow known for?
Well, as I said, Pinot Noir is huge in our little region, and it definitely makes up the majority of our portfolio right now. But we definitely got our name or our reputation based off of Merlot, which we grow a very high quality Merlot, and some interesting varietals, which aren't very common in the Okanagan.
Such as?
Albariño, Dolcetto, Teroldego, a little bit of Tempranillo, and Vidal as a table wine versus a ice wine.
Wow, that is incredible. I love that. And your markets, are the majority of the people buying your wines from British Columbia, or are you going province to province, or is it Okanagan? What would you say is your main market?
I would say, the Okanagan has been extremely supportive, especially through the last year, through COVID, but BC as a whole is probably our main supporter. We do export a little bit out to Alberta and lesser so to the other provinces, but nothing apart from a few cases here or there past that.
Okay, well, that makes a lot of sense to me. I have a fun question. What is your first memory relevant to wine? Were you a kid, or I want to know?
We weren't really allowed to have wine when I was growing up. It was definitely more of an adult thing. But I did have a couple of sips. My mom used to love Rosemount Traminer Riesling from Australia. And it was definitely on the sweeter side, so appealed to my child palate, I guess, but still wasn't quite into it at the time. But I think that's probably the first one that I can remember.
Would you say then that was maybe one of the most memorable wines you've drank, or is there something more memorable than that first memory? Like, of all the wines you've enjoyed over the years, becoming a winemaker, is there one kind of bottle that pops out for you that was maybe your aha moment, good or bad?
Yeah. As much love as I have for that wine, I definitely have had some phenomenal bottles since then. The one that comes to mind is actually, funnily enough, a 2011 Stag's Hollow Syrah. I had the pleasure of drinking that in Queensland, in Brisbane, Australia, and it was amazing. Tasting something from home so far away and just being blown away at the quality that the Okanagan produced. It's kind of the wine that made me realize that I wanted to come back home and make some wine.
That is an incredible story. So you were in Australia and had Stag's Hollow before?
Yeah, no, I had worked there since 2012. So I moved away, and I think I brought a few bottles with me at the time. And so I had some friends there that were into wine, and I said, have you tried anything from Canada? And of course they hadn't. And I opened it and people were absolutely blown away. But a very, very cool moment. And yeah, one that I'll remember forever.
I love that so much. Traveling the world, have you traveled much abroad? And if so, what foreign region of wines did you land? Like, are you in France? Are you in Italy?
I wish. I haven't made it to Europe really yet. I went in high school to Italy, but definitely didn't see the part of Italy that I would like to now. I lived in Australia for a couple of years, so I traveled all around there. My favorite region that I got to see was Tasmania, for sure. The sparklings and Pinot Noirs and Rieslings that came out of there were absolutely beautiful. And then I went and did my postgrad in New Zealand, so got to travel around there a little bit, which was also phenomenal. But I'd love to do more traveling, and especially to Europe.
Wouldn't we all? Amongst all the world populations, who do you think drinks the best wine? Who, what is that region that you think is like, okay, these people know their quality and they are not sacrificing for anything. They're quality wine drinkers.
Oh gosh, that's tough. I would have to say France. Just generally in France, I think they produce some of the world's most amazing wines, and I think they also have such value. I mean, not so much the wine that's exported here, but the wine that they drink day to day over there is a phenomenal value. And I think they're pretty lucky in that they get to drink some pretty awesome wines.
What or which of your wines currently right now in your cellar is giving you the most satisfaction that you've been sampling of late?
Gosh, my cellar is pretty sad at the moment. I think we've all through COVID been kind of drinking through them, but we've actually been working through some Stag's Hollow wines actually. Through kind of the change of ownership, we happened upon some older library wines. So I've been kind of working my way through the older Chardonnays that we produce. We unfortunately don't produce Chardonnay anymore, but some of the 12s and 13s are just drinking beautifully and very much more into the secondary and tertiary characteristics now, but just really interesting. And it's so fun to look back and see where we've come from. So,
do you believe in a perfect grape variety? I know it's like picking your, firstborn or best loved pet, and you don't have to believe in a perfect variety. You don't have to have an answer. Just if you do, what would it be?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, my gut is telling me Syrah, just because I feel like there's so much versatility there, and there's so much opportunity to show expression of the grape from a winemaking standpoint. But I don't know. I feel like every grape really has an opportunity to be perfect for whatever perfect is. But Syrah would be my vote.
Syrah is a good answer. There are no wrong answers. Me aside, what is your opinion of wine critics and wine scores?
You know what? It's I have tons of respect for wine critics because, I mean, yes, they probably have one of the most fun jobs out there. But it gives me feedback and kind of an unbiased look at what I'm doing. I mean, us and our team in the winery and kind of management, you know, we have such a close look at the wines and we're so invested in them, and it's really valuable, I think, to have an outsider's perspective on that, and it really gives us direction and you know, for better or worse, tells us where we should be going and what we should be changing and or maybe, you know, pursuing further. So yeah, tons of respect for wine critics.
And getting down to wine, Keira, as a consumer, do you prefer white, red, or rosé?
Ooh, all of the above, but I probably drink more white than anything else.
And still or sparkling wines?
Oh, I'd love to drink more sparklings, but generally more still wines, probably.
And if you are to drink sparkling wines, would you be drinking champagnes or would you be drinking BC Bubble? What would you be drinking?
If my wallet allowed it, I would definitely be drinking champagnes or some of the Tasmanian sparklings that I got to try. But there are some phenomenal Okanagan sparklings out there. So yeah, that's generally what I'd be drinking.
Have you ever paired white wine with meat or red wine with fish?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, we had, I'm trying to think. Sorry, I can't think of any exact examples right now.
That's okay. You don't need an example. Just saying that you've done it is fun because I know I have. If you've ever enjoyed that one extra glass of wine that maybe you shouldn't have, what is your best cure for a hangover?
If I've ever, you know what? I don't really have one. I always find that a walk and some fresh air is probably the best for me, getting out into the vineyard, perhaps. But I have a puppy now who gets me up really early. So it's, getting up and out is probably the best cure for me.
What does a non-drinker lose out on by not tasting your wines?
There's just, even if you spit, I feel like there's so many interesting flavors in wine. And I mean, the wines that we're creating are so interesting and textural and complex. And I feel like you don't have to swallow them to be able to enjoy them. So I think just the variety of different flavors and sensory kind of perceptions.
What an excellent answer. I hope everyone's paying attention. Space aliens land on Stag's Hollow Winery property. What of the wines from the cellar do you give them to taste? I know.
Oh my goodness. We just bottled our 5th edition of Cachet, which is a limited edition wine that we only ever do, if something exceptional comes into the cellar. So I think probably the aliens would like to taste that, kind of the best of what we do. I'd also like to show them maybe some lesser known varieties, because maybe they've been around the Okanagan as well and haven't had the chance to try them. So maybe some Albariño or Dolcetto as well.
Each vintage is a different story, or not. Are there more things that repeat themselves for you in year after year, or is it the opposite?
Well, having just taken over the winemaking in 2018, the past 3 vintages have all been crazy different. It's amazing actually how different they are and how different the flavors of each wine has been out of those. And so we've had, anything from crazy rains in September to like super early frosts to last year, 2020, which was absolutely beautiful for a vintage. So Yeah, I feel like they're all different, and they definitely stick in your mind, and you remember them for different aspects. But yeah, they're I don't think there's any two that are going to be the same.
Do you have any good luck rituals as you prepare for harvest? Is there something that you do that you want to share with our listeners?
We do, actually. One tradition that we have at Stag's Hollow is that we get the whole team. So that's both the cellar vineyard and as well as management in the office, all down on the crush pad. This year was a little bit different, having to separate so far, but we all toast to the vintage, open last year's Muscat Frizzante, and everyone has a sip and then pours their glass into the grape, which is usually a Muscat.
I have learned that some producers walk in their cellars and speak to the wine in the barrels. Do you do that? And if so, what do you say?
I think more often than not, that's probably my assistant who's speaking to the barrels or to herself. But yeah, I think more than speaking, I probably sing when I'm down there by myself. Yeah, I think you have to.
What kind of songs are you singing?
Oh, this year, the most one that I remember, I was doing punch downs early in the morning before anyone got there, and I was singing, a Lake Street Drive song. Tell him I'm a good kisser, I think. But yeah, it's always different.
I like that, singing. I don't think I've heard that yet. I really like that. Some people read tea leaves on the bottom of a teacup. If you could read the bottom of a red wine glass, what would you like it to reveal for you and your future?
Oh gosh, that's so tough. I just really hope that I continue to be inspired by the grapes that I get to work with and the people that I get to work with. It's fun to go to work every single day. Every day is different, and I just hope that continues to be a thing.
When you were little, Keira, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Actually, from very, very small, I wanted to be an architect, and that continued through into university. And then I kind of found wine and fell off that track, but couldn't be happier for that change.
When you're not working, how do you spend your free time?
I love to ski. A lot of my time these days is with my puppy, walking and doing fun things with him, training. I love sewing and doing creative little hobbies. And I love playing volleyball as well. So it's kind of all over.
You're an active lady. I love that. And you said you love skiing and volleyball, so perfect. Who is your favorite singer or group, current or all time? You can choose.
Oh gosh, that's so hard. Current, honestly, like coming up to Vancouver, I think 90% of the time we were listening to Portugal the Man, Feel It Still, and we just had that on kind of rotation. But I think my music taste changes all the time. But that's what I right now.
Do you have a favorite film dedicated to wine?
Oh, there are so many good ones. I think the first Saw movie came out right as I was getting into wine, so that was a huge one for me. But Sideways actually has a soft spot in my heart because my friends in Australia and I would watch that quite often during our wine nights. So yeah, those two would be my favorites.
For a very romantic evening, which wine would you order? If you're out at a restaurant, what would you, and money's no object, what would you order?
Oh, a specific producer or just grape?
A grape, a region, variety.
Bubbles are always amazing. So I think, I've rarely come across someone that doesn't enjoy bubbles. So that would be my go-to. But then It would have to be Syrah, because if they didn't love Syrah, I don't know if it would work out.
Awesome. What would you consider the best advice you've ever received?
You know what? I had a really phenomenal mentor, Dwight Sick, and he taught me a lot of things. But I think, and not so much in words, but in his actions speaking for him. I think being confident in your decisions and sticking by them and sticking by your convictions. I think that's the biggest thing that you could do as a winemaker.
And is that the best advice you could give our listeners as well?
Oh, yeah. I think so. If you like something, like it and stand by it. And even if it's not cool or trendy, wine is so subjective, and no one should ever feel silly or uncool for liking something that's maybe not popular. So yeah, just do you.
What is the proudest achievement in your work so far?
We've won some pretty cool awards, which has been amazing. But I think the proudest moment for me was probably seeing my first wine that was 100% mine, grape to bottle, in bottle. So that was the 2018 Muscat Frizzante, which is, a fun, silly little wine. It's delicious, but nothing super serious. But it was just really cool to see all that hard work translating into something physical.
The fruits of your labor. Yes. And I love that Frizzante, personally. Complete this sentence. A table without wine is like...
Oh, that's so tough. An outfit without jewelry.
Hey, that's awesome. I like that. I like that a lot. Do you think that we're going to be still drinking wine in 2,000 years' time?
Oh, I hope so. Oh gosh, 1,000 years. Yeah, I hope so. Who knows what we'll be drinking? I mean, there's blue wine out there now, so who knows? But I'm hoping that, I think as the climate changes, we'll definitely be drinking different wines, but hopefully we'll still be drinking wine.
You mentioned blue wines. What type of wines do you think we'll be drinking in 2,300? Do you think there's going to be some green and yellow, or... Well, there is yellow out there already, isn't there?
I don't know. I think they're probably going to find a way to grow grapes as they've been growing, and kind of competing with the climate change. So whether that be through, some type of greenhouse situation or synthetic things, I don't know. I don't know if blue wine is here to stay, but I think we'll probably be still trying to hold on to the quality that we're producing now, and well, hopefully anyways.
Keira, can you name 3 wines that you would like to take with you to either a deserted island or outer space? Refrigeration is not an issue.
3 wines. Yeah. Island or outer space. I think I would like to bring some kind of champagne from my birth year, which is 1990, which is a pretty awesome vintage. I'd like to... This is also no money spared, by the way.
Perfect.
I'd also like to bring probably a Barolo. I haven't drank one in a long time, but I love them. And then, I don't know, something Okanagan, of course, because I'm from there. A Syrah from Okanagan. Yeah.
And We've talked a little bit about traveling, but if you could name one winemaking area in the world that you would most like to really do a deep dive into and explore, what would that be?
I would say either the Northern Rhone, obviously for Syrah, or perhaps Central Otago for Pinot Noir.
Fantastic. Okay, we're not finished yet. It's now time for a little game we like to play. I'm going to pick some different wine varieties, and I want you to tell me what song you would pair with that wine. No pressure. There's no wrong answers. And if you can't think of a song, you can think of a genre, country or rock, just make it easy on yourself. This is the wine soundtrack, so we need to have a little bit of music in here, right? So you've spoken quite a bit about Syrah. So of course I'm going to circle back to that. What song would you pair with a Syrah, or what genre?
Oh, it'd have to be something pretty sexy. I would think I'm going to go genre. I'm going to go like bluesy jazz.
And you've talked a lot about champagne, so I'm going to land on Chardonnay. What would you pair with Chardonnay?
Oh, maybe I'm thinking like Gary Clark Jr. or something a little bit funky, but also a little bit rocky and alternative. Yeah, I think he would be cool.
And last one, how about Pinot Noir?
One of my favorite like funk bands, which is Wolfpack. I think, is so versatile and can be so weird and fun sometimes. So, Wolfpack.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Keira. I'd like to ask you to remind everyone where we can find Stag's Hollow wines.
Oh, well, you should definitely come visit us at the winery. All of our wines are there. Otherwise, we're kind of spread across more private stores across BC and Alberta, and very much focusing on restaurants.
May I ask the website, please?
Yes, it is stagshollowwinery.com.
And any social media handles you want to share with our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am at Stag's Hollow, and the winery's official page is at stags_hollow_wines.
Thank you so much, Keira. It's been an absolute pleasure interviewing you today. And I know that we all look forward to being able to travel and come up to the Okanagan to sample your beautiful and delicious wines. This is Christine Campbell from Wine Soundtrack Canada saying thank you so much for listening. And it's been my pleasure speaking with Keira today. We wish you a wonderful day, and I'll raise a glass to you. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to a new episode of Wine Soundtrack International. For details and updates, visit our website, winesoundtrack.com.